Welcome to Chasing Aesthetics, where fitness meets science.
Welcome everyone to Chasing Aesthetics. Today's a special episode. We have Alberto Nuñez here with me, and I'm so happy to have him in the podcast. So without further ado, who are you, Alberto? Present yourself.
It's more common now, but the Enye, like just like 5 years ago, maybe I was like, well, people, I'm like, whatever, just I'll let it slide. But now people here, they know it's the Enye. And of course, like when you say it, it's like, that's how my parents intended my name to sound. So I'm a natural bodybuilder, a professional natural bodybuilder. I still consider my athletic identity is still like pretty high up there. I'm still, I'd say, in the middle of my athletic career. And also, I am a coach at 3D Muscle Journey. And what we do is we coach other natural athletes, and then we also try to help, put good information out there. And then also, like get people like interested in like doing this the drug-free way, because, a lot of us know it's almost, in some places, it's like the drugs are almost like part of your gym membership. It's like part of your starter kit, So it's kind of nice. We try to be present so that people can stop and think, oh, hold up, we have this option, because there's a long time where I almost didn't know that it was an option. So yeah, that's what we do.
Okay. So now that we know, I think that everyone knows who Alberto is, but just for someone. So now that we know what Alberto does on his daily basis, we'll be talking about the recovery diet, because that's been a topic that's been discussed from the 3D Muscle Journey guys. So just to put it in perspective, I would like to address what happens when the contest prep ends, because that's important to know in both physiological and psychological states.
Yeah, so I think this goes for like any sort of competitive endeavor. Once you've reached peak physical shape, like everything goes up must come down. So competitively, like any other sport, kind of has a period post peak competition season where you try to get better. You try to regenerate before you start working on the next attempt to peak. And with physique sports, it's unique because it's a combination of, it's not just like physical, but it's also, there's a lot of psychological things that if you did it right and if you got lean enough, you're going to experience them. Even if you're very experienced to some extent, you will. I think physically, just because it's way easier on that end, I think what ends up happening is obviously there's not enough body fat to support a lot of just your hormonal functions. I think that's probably the biggest one. And you hear the word overtraining being thrown out there a lot. But overtraining with weightlifting is very hard to come by. But when you look at like the list of things that like are symptoms for overtraining, when you look at everything, it's like, oh, wow, this is kind of actually like a contest prep, because, you get the disruption of sleep, right? You get it's not just 2 weeks of getting off the volume to come back to where you were. It's like, no, it takes months, So the only time that I can really see people like truly overtraining, the way say an endurance runner experiences overtraining, is when you combine strength training with a contest prep. So that's the physical side. The psychological side, it's a whole different can of worms. I think, first of all, to start is with physique athletes, like disordered eating is not an uncommon thing, like to begin with, like whether it happened before they started competing or developed somewhere in there. Well, it just gets magnified because a lot of the things that will make you a successful contest prep athlete also kind of leave you with a transient, non-permanent, hopefully, eating disorder. So I'd say that and I think anyone who does physique sports should probably look up this study, is the Minnesota starvation experiment. If you kind of want to know what you're in for, it's like, go look at that, learn as much as you can about like what these soldiers went through. And I can almost guarantee that most everyone's going to have at least half of those symptoms over the course of a contest prep. So yeah, you're messed up is probably the best way to put it. Really messed up.
Yeah, I think that Minnesota study is like the go-to study when we need to talk about contest prep and what happens next. So,
Oh my God. The first time I read it, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like everything, like they would play with their food, you know?
Yeah,
like
it's insane.
Crazy.
So now that we put that in context, let's get into it and talk about the recovery diet.
Okay. So I guess previous models, what were they, right? What were the alternatives before we started to push for the recovery diet? I think the first one was just kind of like, let's see what happens, is probably the best way to describe it. Like, I think it's just like, some people gain 30 pounds the first month. Some people, it's like they try to stay tight for too long. So there really was, in some cases, no strategy. But then at some point, the reverse diet became something that was very popular. And the reverse diet was, it was a slow increment. It's like literally whatever steps you took on the way down through into contest prep shape, you almost took them on the way up. And sometimes it would take people 4 to 5 months to, supposedly finish the reverse dieting. So you not only you experienced this 5-month diet, and then you still have 5 months afterwards of reverse dieting. And I think the main incentive for that was like, because it's better than getting fat. And then also because it kind of feeds into the body dysmorphia that the athlete might have a bit of at that point. So it's tempting to want to stay like that, right? And then there was a guarantee that you could supercharge your metabolism, which I really don't think that's true at the end. So what we came up with was something that kind of it met maybe the two polar opposite ideas, like halfway. You have the person that's just like, I gained 30 pounds, the first month after dieting, and then you have the reverse dieter that's like, it's been 2 months and I'm still the same weight as I was on the stage. So neither of these things we thought were good or the best way to go about it. So what we ended up, I think the main things that make the main things that you're aiming for during the recovery diet is, one, you want to get your weight back to where you have a healthy level of body fat. And what we recommend is like wherever you started your prep, which to us is about anywhere between 8 to 12% above the estimated contest weight is where you start your prep. We want you there in about 4 to 6 weeks. How do we get there? We get there with structure. So there's a purposely set up robust caloric surplus. And this will be the biggest caloric surplus that you'll see during your whole off season. Because again, we're trying to gain 8 to 12% of our body weight over the course of 4 to 6 weeks. So this worked well because it got people out of all the mental loopy things a little bit faster than a lot of the other methods. And at the same time, you kept a lot of that structure, which, again, when you've been following this plan like super precisely for months, it's very hard to just take that away from someone. So we found a lot of success with that. And this last contest season was the first time that I ever personally I had used it on my athletes forever. And like, it was finally my time to like try it. And it was amazing. I mean, just a month later, I'm like, wow, it's so crazy that I prepped and I looked like that just a month ago, which was a great thing,
Yeah. So now I would really like to hear.
Don't forget to rate the podcast on iTunes and leave a review. May the aesthetics be with you.